Yo guys, what is going on? Blossom's back and welcome back to another episode of Top Drives. Now, let us begin the Update 21 content. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about overrated or overpowered and all that kind of stuff. But first of all, let's start with orientation. Every single Update 21 car, also known as a European New Wave. Don't know how I feel about that name. It sounds a bit too I don't know, the name sounds like it's just trying too hard to be cool. Maybe there's a pun in there. Maybe there's something about new waves and like Europe that I just don't understand. But yeah, what's the acronym for this? So it's gonna be like ENW. But yeah, welcome to that. I want to go through every single car that we have seen been teased since the announcement of the next update. There are over 100 cars to look through, and I also kind of want to explain to you guys why I have mixed feelings for this update. I've said in the past, I'm not very interested in this update. I'm just being completely honest. And I saw some people get mad at me. They're like, what the hell is Blossom saying? Why is he already not interested about an update when before it even releases? Well, guys, I've been playing Top Drives to know long enough that this is about what we're gonna get. We're gonna get Volvo, we're gonna get Skoda, we're gonna get a revamp to Volvo again, and then like Citroen, and like that's it. Like usually they would show us every brand. Gone are the days where Hutch would hide like a special brand that we haven't seen yet. Like for example, when APGP came around, we saw a bunch of Hyundais, and everyone was speculating, oh, maybe they're hiding Kia, maybe they're hiding Kia. We never got Kia, and it was the same thing with the update before that with Pacific Coast Highway. Everyone thought, oh, maybe they're hiding Jeep, maybe they're hiding Jeep. They're showcasing all the brands besides Jeep. We didn't get Jeep, so this is basically what we're getting. And I mean, like, it's my channel, it's my opinion, and like, just from my personal opinion, I'm not really interested in these cars, you know what I mean? I will still do videos, I will still review them, and some of them might be really good in the meta, but yeah, I'm just not a huge fan. I did not grow up in a neighborhood that had Volvos. I did not grow up in a country that sold Skodas or Citroens or anything like that, right? So it's just a personal opinion. I don't know why people are being mad about it. Like, I know that some people may not have been excited with Pacific Coast Highway because it only added a bunch of American cars and Dodge. That's you, man. I respect that, okay? So like, I don't know why people are mad when I say that I'm not interested in this. But anyway, European New Wave. So in my opinion, what makes me like an update, right? To give you guys some clarity on why I'm not very interested in this update. My priority is cars that I love. I love Dodge, I love Porsche, I love Mercedes. None of those brands are coming in this update, and I understand not every update will have those brands, but I'm just telling you why I love updates. I will always have bias towards more updates than others, or some update than others, because I just love specific brands from those updates, right? And the secondary reason to why I might be super excited for an update is cars that excite via three super important things. Number one, performance, how good they are, right? Like, are they gonna break the meta? Are they going to be the meta? Uniqueness, something different, something niche. Maybe, like, for example, I've said in the past, there are not a lot of ultra rare French cars out there, you know what I mean? So like, some new ultra rare French cars in this update would breathe new life into that meta. That's unique. I like that, right? And obtainability, right? So APGP was a great update for obtainability, right? Like super rares, ultra rares, all in abundance, many of the cars being, game changers. That was really fun. So an example of an update that brought many high-end cars but was pretty bad would always be European Revolution, because it was one of the least obtainable updates. It brought almost nothing. It brought like, I think, 1 or 2 Volvo uncommons, which this update will bring in many more numbers. So let me begin. I'm going to show you every rarity of every brand new car that we've seen teased, and then I'm going to do it in 3 different segments. The first segment is this. You get to see everything. So this is everything that we've seen so far, right? So you can see it in all of its entirety. Let me know down in the comments below which is the one that you're interested in seeing the most. Now, the second one that I want to show you is going to be called Priority. This is a personal video. So in my opinion, I'm trying to tell you guys why I'm not so interested in this update is because out of every single comment that we've seen teased, I'm really only interested in 3 of them. I like the estates. I'm a sucker for wagons, so I'm interested in those. And then obviously the Volvo Volvo 343R Sport looks really good. So everything else, I'm not interested in getting. What I'm saying by this is that if I were to unpack these cars in the update, I wouldn't bother upgrading them. I would just sell them right away. Now, moving on to secondary. Now, secondary is basically what I said earlier on. These are the cars where I think they will make an impact in the game, whether they bring great performance, whether they are unique, or whether or not they may or may not be obtainable. In this case, they are obtainable because they're going to be commons. So yeah, I mean, out of every common that we've seen so far, I think genuinely only 2 of them are actually going to be maybe making an impact in the game. The Volvo 343 has a ridiculously low 0 to 60 for a common, and as long as it's medium ground clearance, I think it will bring value, especially on city streets small. The Citroen 2CV, however, that one I'm not sure if it'll make a difference. It's the first time we're seeing an off-road, also 4-wheel drive car at the lowest RQ in the game, and I think it's fair to assume that the Sahara is going to be very, very light. That being said, it has 45 handling, so we don't know how good it's actually going to be, but that's a car that I would keep my eyes out for. Now, moving on to uncommons. These are all the uncommons that we've seen so far. Again, in my opinion, not a lot of things that I personally am interested in. So if we go into priority, these are the uncommons that I'm actually interested in collecting. And that would be the Volvo 940 Estate, the Volvo S80D5, and the Ford Kuga. The only reason why the Ford Kuga is there is because it has a fantastic photo. To be fair though, every single photo is cropped really, really well. I will never be a fan of white backgrounds. As you can see, I put them all at the bottom with a very intentional purpose. But yeah, I'm not interested in white backgrounds. But yeah, at the end of the day, like out of every uncommon we've seen so far, I'm only interested in 3. Well, I mean 4. Sorry, another car that I forgot to mention was a Ford Escort, which is not a very good showing. But again, this is my personal opinion. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you might be interested in the Skoda Fabia, or you might be interested in the Volvo 960 2.5. Again, I like estates, but I'm really being honest with myself. If I unpack the 960, would I max it? Probably not, because I hate white backgrounds. That's a really boring photo. And it's the same thing for the Kuga and the Escort. I don't really care about the cars in real life. They just have really, really top-notch photos, and they aren't bad-looking cars. Because another example would be the Skoda Citigo. Like, it's got a really good photo, it's rolling and everything, but it's such an ugly car. I hate it. I'm never gonna have it around unless I'm forced to get it, of course. Now, moving on to secondary purposes, uncommons where I think they will actually make a difference and make an impact in the meta would be the Ford Fiesta, because for an RQ22, and I'm assuming it has medium ground clearance, it'll get an 85 handling when you max it out, which isn't too bad. It's the same thing for the Skoda Fabia. Handling is a little worse than the Fiesta, but it's got a way lower 0 to 60 by 0.7 seconds. For an RQ23, I think it'll be a pretty decent all-rounder, but everything else, it's just really underwhelming. The handling for most of these cars are just absolutely garbage. Many of them can't even hit 80 or maybe just the low 80s. Moving on to rare now. These are all the rares that we've seen teased so far, all 16 of them in their glory. And the ones though that I'm actually interested in wanting to collect are the ones that you see highlighted over here. I would like to get the Skoda Octavia and the Skoda Fabia. Again, I am a sucker for wagons and good photos, which is what both those cars provide. They're also both medium ground clearance and they'll get handling of over 80. The Citroen SM Rally is just a really unique car. I don't think it's going to break the meta in any way, shape, or form, but it's cool. I like it, you know? It's rare for me to say that for a French Citroen, but I do like that. The Volvo V70 F5 is probably one of the nicest photos for all the rares that we've seen so far, if not the nicest. And also, again, estate. And last but not least, the Ford Escort RS200 or RS2000, sorry, is a pretty interesting specimen, I would say, because that would get, I believe, 83 handling or 82 handling with medium ground clearance. But the real kicker for that car is that 4-wheel drive and performance tires. Now that is a niche, so I would like to collect that. And in terms of cars where I think they will make an impact in the meta would be these ones over here. So basically these rear-wheel drive standard tire Skoda Enyaqs. I've never heard of them in my life. Like I said, they don't sell them in the States, they don't sell them in Malaysia, and I lived in both places. I don't see them anywhere. So yeah, both of them, yeah, okay, but they look like they can make an impact. So even though it isn't a car that I'm really thinking about wanting to collect, collect, I feel like it will be a car that could make a difference. When you look at rear-wheel drive center tire cars in top drives that are rare, none handle as well as both the Skoda and Yaks with 86 when you max it out. Well, not 86, 84 when you max it out. I believe the Skoda Octavia, again, would make somewhat of a difference. Decent handling, medium ground clearance, and also as an estate. We already talked about the Escort RS 2000 and the fact how it fills in a very small niche of basically just rare four-wheel drive performance tires with most likely medium ground clearance. Moving on to super rares now. Again, 15 super rares that I could find that has been teased so far. So you can pause the video whenever you like if you like to see all these cars in all of their entirety, right? But then moving on to the ones that I'm actually interested in, I mean, it's a little better than the other rarities that we've seen so far. There are 5 cars I'm interested in. Basically, some of the older models, like the Skoda 200 from 1974, as well as the Bizzarini that just reminds me of Finn McMissile from Cars 2. Now, I know what you might be thinking, Blossom, why are you not interested in the Bizzarini Manta? That's also a classic car. You like classic cars, don't you? Yes, but I'm also still picky, and I like front engine cars. That Bizzarini doesn't look like a front engine car to me. I just don't really, I'm not a fan of wedges. It has to be a very specific wedge, and that wedge is just not, I like the Alfa Carabo wedge, but I don't really like the Bizzarini Manta wedge. It just looks a bit too fat. It's not angular enough, you know? But yeah, other cars that I'm really interested in will be the Volvo 850. I'm pretty sure that it's the same photo that they have on a Hot Wheel premium line. Let me know down in the comments below if I'm correct, if you do collect Hot Wheels. But I'm pretty sure there's a Hot Wheel premium line of a Volvo 850 that has the same damn photo on the packaging. But yeah, that's really cool. It's a really nice photo. I don't like the color yellow, but that's a really good one. The Caterham, obviously, and the Volvo S80, because, you know, I love my saloons as much as I love estates. Now, moving boxy estates, because I know I crossed out this Octavia over here. It's not boxy enough for me. In terms of secondary, like, in terms of, like, how many of the super rares that's been teased, I think would actually be useful and make a difference in the game. Obviously, the Caterham Super 7 would be, like, overpowered, to be honest. 90 handling and center tires for a super rare, and then obviously the Skoda Enyaq. It looks like it's like an Enyaq meta. that's my prediction, at least. 87 handling with a low 0 to 60 4-wheel drive. It's gonna be a slightly worse version to the RQ48 Mitsubishi 4-wheel drive, which also coincidentally has the same amount of handling and a slightly lower 0 to 60. Only reason I remember that was because I was comparing all these cars while I was making the video. The Skoda 200 might make a difference if it's a medium ground clearance. If it's medium ground clearance, you can get 90 handling and medium ground clearance. I think it should be medium ground clearance, to be honest, because that 0 to 60 for an RQ44 performance tire is garbage. So it has to have something to offset it, and I think it's medium. If it's medium of 90 handling, it might bring some value. The Citroen Visa Trophy, 85 handling off-road tires, front-wheel drive, bit of a niche, and if it's ridiculously light, it might be useful, but there are obviously off-road or super rares that handle better than 85, so that is a cause for concern. I'm in a good mood today, so I'm going to give the Citroen Visa the benefit of the doubt. Moving on to ultra rares. This is like the best part of the update, in my opinion, where it brings the most value and variety. So here are the ultras that we've seen so far, all 16 of them. 17 have been leaked, but I couldn't fit the last car in this picture. But it's a pretty inconsequential car. I'm an RQ50 4-wheel drive Yeti, basically this thing but a different picture. It's blue. But yeah, in terms of cars that I'm interested about, this is the best showing that we've had so far. I'm interested in about half of the ultra rares that has been released and teased so far, for one reason or another. This just looks, the Ranger Raptor just looks American, so that's why I want it. Yeah, the Bizzarini looks pretty cool. Reminds me of like a Jaguar E-Type or something, or a D-Type or something like that. Volvo S60, I mean, I'm a sucker for like just saloons, and I like Volvos, right? So like that's one thing to consider. Here's the thing, right? Like I say that I'm not interested in the update, and that's true, but I don't want you to think that I don't like Volvo and I don't like Skoda. I think they're cool brands in real life. It's kind of like how I really like Bentley in real life, but not in the game, you know? And I think that Volvo would just be like another Subaru, or not even another BMW in top drives, where there's just going to be a dime a dozen and you're not going to use most of them. But I think there's something that I need to reiterate, is that I actually don't don't dislike Volvo. Like, I like Volvo. I think they're cool. And yeah, I'm actually interested in many of these ultras that you see over here. One real game changer, I would say, is the Citroen Visa 1000. I think that is 1000. Mainly because it's 87 handling, 4-wheel drive, and off-road tires. That is going to be ridiculously strong. You can kiss the power box goodbye. The Citroen, not Citroen, but Caterham 7 310R looks pretty good as well. I assume it's going to be ridiculously light. 95 handling ain't too bad. And the Citroen Saxo Super, bringing 95 handling for an RQ51 might be a great rival to the Renault Megane 4RS, I believe. In terms of cars where I think they'll be making an impact in the game in general, these are going to be the ones. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the Citroen C3 Max. I feel like this wouldn't be too good. It reminds me of like the TCR Giulietta, the Alfa Romeo, that just ended up being a big disappointment to a lot of people. But I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. And also, like I said, if you are a French ultra rare, you're going to make a difference either way, especially the C2, because there are not a lot of off-road French ultras out there. So this one's going to make an instant impact. The Saxo is going to be pretty good. C3 Max is going to be pretty good, just in their own niches. And of course, the Citroen Visa. So those four Citroens are definitely going to make an impact. The Volvo EX30 is going to be, if I remember correctly, the second lowest 0 to 60 rear-wheel drive standard tire ultra rare, only behind the Maybach. The 64 Maybach, obviously, I don't think it's going to beat the Maybach anywhere, but it has a very low 0 to 60. And then things like these 4-wheel drive, medium ground clearance Volvos, they might make an impact in the game as well. Moving on to Epics, and Epics is a really weak showing. In terms of the Epics that I'm actually excited about, I think there are only 3. Yeah, it's the Caterham 7 Evo Edition. I do find it a very unique photo. The Caterham Super 7 2000, that's 94 handling standard tires. That is absolutely absurd. The Citroen Sara, or whatever it is, kit car, 97 handling off-roader is going to be a really, really good car to have in the collection as well. But everything else, I don't think are cars that I'll be interested in. And talking about cars that would make an impact in top drives, again, only 3. The only changes would be the 7 Evo that I like. I don't think will make much of an impact. It's just another performance tire 69 car with decent handling and decent 0 to 60. But obviously you would always go for a 79 anyway. And then there's the Radical. The Radical, again, I'm in a good mood. I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. In all honesty, the 0 to 60 of that Radical as an RQ76 is shit. 4.5 0 to 60 for an RQ76 is terrible. When you look at slick tire Epics around that range, you're looking at 3.8, 3.9, or at the very most 4.0. 4.5 is terrible, and the only reason why I think it's 76 is because it has like ridiculous MRA, because it's an incredibly light car and it probably has decent power. The only other issue though is that it has no top speed, but it handles very well, so it's a bit of an enigma, that Radical, and we won't know how good it will actually be until I see some concrete times. 2 cars where you don't need times to know if they'll be amazing though would be the Caterham Super 7 2000 as well as the Citroen Zahra. Again, I don't know if I'm saying that correct, but again, I'm not interested in the Epics, dude. Look at the amount of all-surface tire crap we are getting. Imagining opening the European New Wave pack. Imagine if this was the European New Wave pack and like you only wanted 3 cars out of 15. Would you want to open it knowing that those are your odds, knowing that the majority of the time you're going to be getting some stupid all-surface tire Volvo? Again, love them in real life, but in the game, gonna be useless. Last but not least are the Legendaries. Now, again, at this point, they're good Legendaries, but remember at the start of the video, like, I was also talking about obtainability. None of these cars are easily obtainable. You know what I mean? Like, they're Legendaries. You gotta get lucky to get them, you know? Like, you can't really bet your money on them anymore. You get what you're given, you know? When you get a Legendary, you be happy with it, you know? Especially if it's from a new update. In terms of the cars that I want, yeah, I want most of them. Only the Zenvos I don't want with like 89 handling. If you got less than 90 handling, I don't want to deal with you, to be honest. But everything else looks pretty cool. I mean, the Radicals, they look alright. Like, I think they are all going to be really good. They're all really light and they all handle really well. And they're just going to be like better KTMs. that's exactly what they're going to be. Or better Caterhams even, you know? So those are going to be really, really good. In terms of cars that I think are going to be useful, all of them. You can't go wrong with Legendaries, but again, the caveat is that these cars are really hard to come by. So I hope that this video gave you guys not only a better insight on all the cars that we've seen so far that will be coming to the game, but also gives you a better insight to why I have mixed feelings about this update. Why I can't speak right now. Why I may not be that interested in the cars that are coming. And like I said, it's just a personal thing. I didn't grow up with Skodas going up and down my streets. I did not grow up with Citroen. Actually, I hate French cars, as you know. I find them incredibly boring. I don't like front-wheel drive cars. I don't like hatchbacks. I am just, by every definition of the word, a dumb American. I like my big, boxy cars that have a lot of power and nothing else, and this update just isn't that. So anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for today. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree with my takes. Once again, this video was completely personal, but anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. I'm gonna stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies. They so fine. Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies. They so fine. Sit back, relax in my Bonneville Pontiac. Hold tight all night, cruise to Jacksonville Atlantic. Blonde hair, don't care, look like Leslie